Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fashion Bunker. Today we will be reviewing Chance, the Pure Perfume by Chanel. Long time coming, almost 20 years in the making in terms of review, because the perfume was launched in 2003. And now it's 2020. So we're getting there. We're almost at the 20th birthday. Before I continue, first note, thank you so much to my patrons for supporting the channel over on Patreon. On Patreon, you get to see all of these videos ad-free while ads run through them on YouTube. Also on Patreon, you get to see exclusive videos that never come to YouTube, as well as longer versions of videos over there rather than on YouTube, and premieres hitting Patreon days, sometimes weeks before they come to YouTube. All right, let's get straight to it. 2003, Jacques Polge had the idea. Well, this one was a couple of years in the making, but 2003 was the release date. Let's say around the year 2000, Jacques Polge got the idea while he was working on Coco Mademoiselle, the epitome of sweet Julie. He had the idea, how do we continue from there? Because the overdose of the sweet patchouli that is Coco Mademoiselle, launched prior to Chance, is literally a like an omen to what was to come. And Chance is a much more refined game, actually. A much more refined patchouli game when compared to Coco Mademoiselle. And you could really see the development. You could see how Coco Mademoiselle, you could smell out the difference. You could smell out how Coco Mademoiselle came before Chance, because Chance is a much more elegant game, much more subtle way of dealing with patchouli. And yet patchouli is so fundamental and so important for Chance because it creates the rooty, earthy, mossy, kind of woodsy, earthy tone to this fragrance that would otherwise be quite airy if it wasn't for the musks. But in terms of what is in here, the Pure Perfume doesn't list many ingredients except for the lily, sorry, not for the lily, the iris, the jasmine, the vanilla, and the white musk. But the vanilla is a vanilla absolu, and we do not have any pineapple listed in there, with pineapple being the key component. Let me bring here, being the key component of Chance Eau de Toilette. Now, Chance Eau de Toilette and Chance Parfum were both launched in 2003. The Eau de Parfum came later, around 2005. So the game to notice here is a balance between a lighter, more fruity version, which is Eau de Toilette, composed against the Pure Parfum. The bottle. Now, this Chanel today, and I've said this in other videos, but I'm going to repeat it here because it's very fundamental to the Pure Perfume in particular. The word chance means fortune, but also it means to take fortune in your own hands. The concept of the Chance perfume is like taking fortune in your own hands, but also it means fate in a way, but it also means to dare. So Chanel is pushing the concept of a wheel of fortune. That's why the bottle, for the first time in Chanel's history, is a flat round bottle rather than it being a square or rectangular bottle or diamond cut bottle. And spinning that wheel of fortune takes us to paths and ways that maybe we wouldn't have considered going down or taking before or prior spinning that wheel. So Chanel is telling us to not necessarily have to play it safe all the time. And I'm all for that, had it not been for the actual smell of the perfume. The perfume does smell quite safe. So that's a contrast to the concept of the Chance wheel of fortune spinning. The ad campaigns reveal to us female models playing bowling with the bottles, all the different flankers of Chance, as well as the first iteration of it, and they throw the bottles, and because the bottles are round, they spin down the bowling alley, and that's kind of the game they're playing. But let's go back to 2003, prior to the ad campaign that we've seen as of late with all the flankers. The particular design of the Pure Parfum shows us that actually it's not about closing the eyes and jumping into the vortex of fortune and just, you know, blindfolded going into where the future takes us. No, the concept was quite different back then, because this, in fact, because the smell doesn't the smell of the perfume smells quite safe, not daring. And that's because this was actually conceived as a ring. That's why the metal ring around the bottle and the stopper is like a diamond. So this is a wedding ring, in fact, or an engagement ring of sorts. So it is about playing it safe. It's about finding the love, and it's about settling down, and it's about caring for each other, loving each other. It's about that sort of game. It's about security. It's about locking in to place, locking yourself into a chain of sorts. That's why we have the Chanel mini lambskin rectangular silver hardware bag, which is functioning as a prop in this case. Thank you so much, little Coco bag, for giving us this framework for the perfume review. I placed that chain there because this is a typical Chanel symbol. The intertwined C's are symbolic because the chain is intertwined as well. In particular, the leather is intertwined in the chain, but every chain is locked with the other chain together, and then we have the leather intertwined throughout them. Everything Chanel related is connected to chains. Chains are even hidden at the seams at the bottom of the jackets to make them a bit heavier and make them fall better. Chains are also used for costume jewelry and real jewelry. You have earrings with chains hanging off them, necklaces with chains hanging off them. You also have bracelets with chains attached to them, sunglasses with chains attached to them as well. And that was a huge thing back in the 90s in particular. 1992, fall, winter, Chanel's chain sunglasses have gone down into eyewear history. So where are we now with Chance, almost 20 years later? Is this perfume still so safe? All of a sudden, the pure perfume, to me, turns into an unsafe game because it was so available everywhere and it was so readily smellable on most people walking down the streets when it was first launched. Now it seems to have not completely disappeared, but faded into a background of fragrance wearers or people wearing perfumes that have jumped to the forefront, wearing the most synthetic concoctions you could imagine today. Some screechy and screaming and loud, others playing it niche, safe, saying they're all about conceptual perfumes. There is a lot of games going on today, but Chance still stood where it stood back in 2003 and is kind of never went into reformulations. I mean, perhaps Eau de Toilette isn't as intense today as it was back in 2003, but it still is Chance. It still kept its identity completely. You smell it, you know immediately it's Chance. And the pure perfume today, when compared to all other new fragrances launched today, is different. To wear it today would be daring. To wear it today, you will smell different than most of the other things that are on the street. So to wear it today, you could say, as opposed to other perfumes released as of now, it is like playing that bowling game where you throw the ball and you're hoping to win and you don't know where fate and chance is going to take you. Per se and in itself, it is a safe fragrance. It's not groundbreaking, but for the times we're living in right now, I would say it definitely delivers, if not a groundbreaking punch, at least a diversity punch. It tells a different story from everything else telling us stories today. But what story does it tell us? Chance wakes you up early in the morning with a whisper. The pure perfume whispers to you that the weather outside is bad. There's a storm coming, but on the inside, it's sunny. It tells you that you can find ways of going through the day without having to confront the perils that life surrounding you can throw at you. It is a bit risky because it does encapsulate you in a space where you create your own cocoon and bubble, and feel safe in it. But it keeps reminding you that it is telling you a story, that it is, in a way, embellishing reality. It keeps you aware of the fact that you are isolating yourself. What does this mean? This means that this perfume does not completely take you away from reality like some crazy video games will do nowadays. It still keeps you grounded. It lets you know that reality is waiting out there for you, but that you are now taking a break. That's why it's a morning breakfast routine. You're just waking up and Chance is caressing you and telling you it's really bad outside, but it's really good inside. And it teaches you that the peace that you can find is internal peace. It's something that you find from within, not on the outside. And you can't look for it in other people either. You have to find it from within yourself. It balances you out. It grounds you. It nourishes you. And you get this only with the pure perfume. In the dry down, it also tells you that everything is going to be okay. And it's going to stay warm with you until it disappears. Because, you know, the dry down of perfumes, I associate them to a sort of death, because you apply the perfume on your skin, you give it birth, it grows, it lives, it develops, it goes through all sorts of stories on your skin and mixing with your chemistry and your own oils and your own hormones. And then at one point, its lifespan comes to an end, and we do witness a certain death. Certain fragrances, as they're dying off, really don't die elegantly. Others scream as they're dying. Chance doesn't scream. Chance doesn't cry. It's stoic in a way. It stands its ground. It's dignified. And the pure perfume, as it fades out, it stays warm. It doesn't go desperate. It doesn't go cold. It doesn't go crazy. It doesn't scream. It doesn't cry. It's dignified. It's peaceful. And it's peaceful all the way to the end. And it's warm all the way to the end. The pulse in this perfume is there until it stops pulsing or pulsating. And that is the magic of the Chance Parfum. Now, I've made a video unboxing first impressions of this one. I've made an extra first impressions exclusive only to Patreon. I have made a review of the Eau de Toilette in comparison to the Parfum. So I've said so much about this perfume, and this was the review that the pure perfume merited. And I'm also pushing pure perfumes lately because I'm noticing that brands are discontinuing pure perfumes in favor of the Eau de Parfums, Eau de Parfum Intenses, and the Eau de Toilettes. And it's a pity, because the art of creating pure perfumes, but mostly the art of applying and using and living with pure perfumes, is so different from wearing Eau de Toilettes and Eau de Parfums. It's a much more intimate relationship that you have with your fragrance. The stories that pure perfumes tell you are whispers. They're not screams. And these whispers, because they're so soft and delicate, allow you to access all the nuances of a perfume rather than just the bold statements that are in the surface. The pure perfumes allow you to go underneath the surface. They allow you to dig as deep as you are ready to go. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this review, thumb it up and let me know what you think about Chance, the pure perfume, in the comment section down below. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel here on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Super Dacob, all spelled together. I'm also on Patreon, also Super Dacob, all spelled together. Chance is intertwined within its glass bottle, within its metal ring and stopper, and within the ring of a Chanel chain bag. Thank you guys so much for watching. Never give up on love. See you soon. Take care. Bye.